Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of the Aftermath series. Let us waste no time at all and dive right into this week's episode of Critical Role. So we begin this episode with the party relaxing in their Jor house, and Essek decides to come over for dinner. And this episode pretty much served as a way to fully flesh out Essek's character so we can get to know him a little bit better. And throughout the night, Essek challenged the members of the party to reflect on their goals and their journey so far. During the evening's conversations, we learned a bit more about Essek and his views on the war, what he himself hopes to accomplish, and we soon discovered that Essek and Caleb are actually very, very similar. They both seek to uncover the mysteries of the universe. They both seek to achieve things that people would see as impossible. Essek explains how he wants to fully understand dunamancy and to discover what it is at its very core. He believes that there's so much untapped potential with this new school of magic, and he wants to be the one to discover it all. Very ambitious and definitely not unlike Caleb himself. Eventually, the topic of the beacons were brought up, and Bo revealed to Essek that the beacon that the Empire is returning is not one of the beacons that was originally stolen by the Empire. Essek tells the party that it's probably safe to not tell the Bright Queen of this new information, as it might cause the ceasefire to end abruptly, and talks of negotiations will be no more. But there are still questions that are left unanswered. Why would the Empire lie about this beacon that they definitely have, and give back the one from Pride's Call? Essek suggests that perhaps the Assembly has discovered something from one of the beacons, but they weren't able to uncover anything from the beacon in Pride's Call. And what the Assembly discovered is something that they would very much like to protect and keep a secret. And what better way to protect their secrets than to end this conflict between the Empire and the Dynasty? And we as the audience and the Mighty Nein may have actually discovered what this secret is. It could very well be these dunamancy potions that the party discovered in the basement of the Bernardo Apothecary. Caleb actually ends up giving Essek this dunamancy potion, and if Essek decides to research it further, we may actually figure out what this dunamancy potion actually does. We can probably assume that it acts as a luck potion, but perhaps it has more properties that have yet to be uncovered. Caleb eventually explains to Essek the interesting problem that Not the Brave has, and how they are working on a spell to alter her form. Essek expresses his concern for Not's situation and offers his assistance in helping Not find a solution to this problem. Eventually, Essek leaves for the night, and Clay talks about his journey and what he hopes to accomplish. We know that his home is dying to some sort of corruption, and he's on a journey from the Wild Mother to find a solution to this. We know that he does now have the purple crystals from Uthadurn, and now he needs to travel south to hopefully find something that he can bring back up to the Savalier Wood that will clear this corruption from his home. The party ultimately decides that what Clay seeks is rather important, and they want to help him with it. So, in this moment, the party decides that they're going to go south and help Clay figure out what he needs to do. Clay also brings up the three family names once again: Clay, Stone, and Dust. And Ford realizes something. When Ford was growing up in the orphanage, the other kids gave Ford a last name. These last names are usually given to kids that don't have a last name. But what's crazy is that Ford was given the last name Stone, and now he just so happens to be a follower of the Wild Mother. Destiny definitely works in interesting ways. While Essek was at the house of the Mighty Nein, Jester tried to sell the Traveler to Essek, but it didn't go quite well, and Essek seemed rather skeptical about this whole Traveler figure. But the party did their best to comfort Jester, and they even gave her a chance to try to sell the Traveler to the party. And in this conversation, Jester opened up about how she feels about the Traveler. Now, we already knew her thoughts and emotions about it, but it's almost sad to see her talk about it with the party, since we get a glimpse as to how lonely she really felt when she was growing up. She describes the traveler as a friend, someone who made her feel special, someone who made her feel important when she had no one else. So it's obviously very clear that the traveler means a great deal to her, and perhaps she sees him as a father figure. After the party goes their separate ways for the evening, Caleb pulls Jester aside and tells her that he supports her, he believes in her and the traveler. He's seen her do amazing things, so obviously the traveler is the real deal, and she shouldn't dwell on the traveler maybe not showing up all of the time. The traveler knows that Jester is fully capable of taking care of herself, and she's really grown into her own person. The traveler then actually pays Jester a visit that night and confirms everything that Caleb told her. And he even reveals that Jester was his first follower. Moving on with the evening, Clay also had a side conversation with Yasha, where Clay wants Yasha to share her burdens. He wants her to share her pain. It's not something that one person should handle all on their own. She has friends that want to support her, that want her to overcome all of the hardships she's gone through. Yasha says that she'll try. She'll try to reach out more, but she's been alone for most of her life, so it might be difficult for her to come to terms with this. In the morning, Yasha decides to get her new bracers that she commissioned well over a month ago, but now she has to decide between wearing these new bracers that she got and wearing the breastplate that Oban fashioned for her. We had a moment with Yasha in her room where she took off the breastplate that she received from Oban and contemplated putting the bracers on, but ultimately she decided to put the breastplate back on. Perhaps she wears this breastplate as a reminder for all of the hardships she's gone through and endured, and how despite everything she's gone through, she has still emerged stronger than before. In the morning, Caleb also continues his work on Halas's spell and reaches a point where he is almost finished. He is almost there. The spell is almost complete, which means that Nott can revert back to her original halfling form. Caleb explains his excitement to Nott and how they are so close, but there's something missing. They're stuck on this one part of the equation, and so the party decides to set out to Essek's home to seek his assistance in finishing this spell. On the way to Essek's home, Ludinus contacts Jester, confirming that the negotiations will take place and that Vence has been captured and incarcerated. Ludinus also tells Jester that the negotiations will take place in 4 weeks' time, so now the party has a set timeline where they can now go down south to help Clay with his problem and then meet up for the negotiations. Finally, the party arrives at Essek's home, and it's clear that Nott, Essek, and Caleb are extremely excited to get to work on Halas's spell. And in this moment of finishing this spell, we get to see how passionate and ambitious Caleb and Essek are in the pursuit of knowledge. And with all of their efforts combined, they are able to finish this spell that Halas began. However, now that it's complete, Nott really isn't sure if she's ready for this spell to take place. She's worried that everything will be different. She's worried that she won't be the same once it's over. She's even thinking about leaving the party once she's back to her halfling self. Because really the only reason she's been adventuring is to find a solution to her problem. And now that she's found it, she can finally go home and be with her family, which is what she's wanted all along. Caleb is obviously deeply saddened by the thought of not leaving, but he wants to do this spell for her anyways. And ultimately, Nott agrees to perform this ritual. The ritual begins successfully, however, partway through, the spell begins to fail, and a cackling laughter begins to ring in the ears of Nott and Caleb, as it's revealed that Nott the Brave is cursed, and the only way to break this curse is to find the witch that bestowed it upon Nott in the first place. So after all of the work that Caleb, Nott, and Essek put into completing this spell, it didn't work. And now the party has to decide, do they abandon the quest of going down south to help Clay and pursue this witch to help Nott? I guess we're just gonna have to wait and find out maybe in the next episode, as the party now has to decide what they're going to do next. And with all of that being said, we are going to wrap up. Let me know all of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions during that episode. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic rest of your weekend, and I will see you all next week.